Hello and welcome to a video playthrough of a game called Mansion of Madness. This is a solitary game in which you're gonna manipulate some dice trying to go from room to room, walking to this mansion, leading your investigators until you solve the case and then have a fight with a final eldritch god or some kind of other monstrosity. So I'm almost finished the game. I don't have all the rules, but I have enough so I can have a playthrough. I added some more components, so now we have these we have these items here. There's a bag of item tokens. We have the major clues inside this bag. I'm gonna shuffle that up. We have our eldritch gods, which we're gonna have to fight in the end, and we finally have also some purple rooms. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna set up the game. As always, you take all of these tokens that I use for modifying tests, shuffle them around and just place them randomly on the board. Usually I just do it like in a clockwise manner, but you can do it in any way. It's not going to affect the game. Alright, so we have some terror and some auto fails right from the start. Nice. Then take these tokens that I use to know which characters are in play and who is the lead investigators. I'm gonna prepare my deck first. We don't need the intro. You already looked the intro at the beginning of the video, so I'm gonna set this aside. It's just for fun. So I'm gonna shuffle these, and I'm gonna play an easy game. This means 4 rooms from each of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4 purple, 1, 2, 3, 4 red, and 1, 2, 3, 4 yellow on top, and that's it. My mansion is prepared. I'm gonna set this aside because we're not gonna use these. Alright, and as for the final boss, well, that's gonna be determined by me getting some clues. And now I'm gonna get my investigators. So you shuffle a deck, draw 3 and choose which one to take. So let's see, I have Daniel Pierce here, which can recall 1 lower green die. So if I have multiple dice, you could take the one that is the lowest. If I have only one, that still works. Okay. Duplication. I also look at their sanity and duplication of green dice. I think I'm gonna take Lee Min and set this aside. Then we have Pete Lucky, Angela Dover, and Dr. Dan Keane. I think I'm gonna take Pete Lucky because I need someone who can recall dice, that's for sure. And then we have a choice between Emilia Carter, Sammy Clay, and Dr. Theo Allen. I think it's going to be Emilia Carter, but she only has 2 sanity, but she can recall purple dice. And now I need someone who can also deal with orange, because I want to have at least every dice. So let's see, recall orange, recall lower. I need some more sanity in the group, so it's going to be the guy that can recall lower orange dice. So this investigator will not be used in the game. So this is my investigator group. Now we can see their starting stories. So Li Min was pretty courtesan from Shanghai, never dreamed that her destiny was to be a vessel for a powerful outer god. She managed to escape and leave her previous life behind. Sure. That's her story. Pete Lucky, haunted by an ancient native curse that was passed by his ancestors, Pete managed to catch a break when he was employed by Arkham League of Mythos Hunters. Well, he's part of the league now. And Emilia Carter, a professional pilot working for a private company in Argentina. Emilia had some close calls in South America when her charter plane was downed by a flying serpent. Interesting. And Joe Barnes, industry magnate from Pennsylvania had to take matters in his hands when his daughter was kidnapped by a cult poised to take over his business. All right, so that's their stories. Now they are in front of this mansion and they're gonna enter. Also, you don't put this here, you actually put this here. It should be next room, and then when you draw, you put them in the previous room. All right, let's see what kind of dice I'm gonna work with. So let's do these ones first. Okay, so let's put them here. I'm gonna put each color separately. It's easier that way, so you can track what you have. That's a 2, 5. Now you probably want to have a nice spread of all values, because that's always good, because sometimes you will see there are some tests that require not a sum but only one die. So, and you're always trying to use as lower amount of dice as possible, because as you use them for the test they will get exhausted and then they need to be recalled, which is not that easy. All right, so let's see my blessed and cursed die. Oh, they cannot be double, so they're both 5, so you just reroll them both again. Okay, that's acceptable. So 5 for my blessed die and 2 for my cursed die. So whenever you recall dice, I mean, they're automatically trying to get back as your resources. If you roll a 5, they go back. If not, they stay exhausted. But if you roll a 2, they go to the lost pile. There are some effects that can help you bring them from the lost pile. I'm going to shuffle the bag with items, because items are randomly drawn from the bag. Now we have, yeah, I need to take sanity tokens. So let me do that for Li Min. It's good if you have a group that has a lot of sanity, but you also have to choose, I mean, investigators that can recall dice. And usually you want to have all colors, because if you focus only on few dice, you're going to have some problems later on. Alright, that's the setup. We set up the investigators, gave them their sanity, we prepared the room deck, we placed the initial test modifiers, and we roll all the dice. We are ready to start the game. So each turn starts quite simple. I choose which investigator is going to enter the room, then I draw a room and resolve the room. So let's see what kind of test we have here. So purple and orange, which Emilia and Joe Barnes are good to do that. But there are also some tests. If I got a B or C, here I can use any color, but I need to follow the value of a test. While here I have to use the same color of a die, but could be any value of a dice, as long that dice can be that value can be used. So for instance, let's say I have a test of 3, which means I can use any 3s from here. But it must be the same color. So let's say I had something like this. I probably wouldn't do that, but just for the sake of example. So if I need a 3, if I have a 1 or 2 purple and I want to use them, I can. They just need to be the same color. But also if I have a 3 purple or 3 or green, I can use. So must be the same color, and value doesn't really matter. Value as long as you can cover it with a die. That was actually a good example. Meaning that if it was a 3, I can also use like a 1. But if it was a 7, then I have to use 2 dice. Doesn't mean which one. Same color, but any value. Since you can't have a 7 on 1 die, I will have to use 2 dice of the same color. So, as always, I make a mess when I'm explaining this part of it. But you'll see how that works as we go. Anyway, let's start. So here I'm thinking I'm thinking to get the lead investigator, Joe Barnes. He's gonna go, and So he's gonna enter the room. Actually, I don't have to move them because I have these tokens, and he's gonna go inside with, let's say, with Emilia Carter. There two is gonna enter this room. All right, so let's see what they have to face. So a large room opens up. There are two tests inside. Test E is 5 and test D is 3. So E is auto fail, so I cannot do that. So that's just gonna be fail. I'm gonna set this aside immediately. But test D can be done. It says gain 2 clues. Gain 2 clues is pretty good, but that's also terror. Interesting start. So I can do this test, but I'm gonna take 1 sanity damage, and it's gonna be on the lead investigator because it's only on him. If this was an icon with multiple investigator, then I can choose who's gonna take a sanity, but in this case it's gonna be a lead because I'm doing a test where there is a, how it's called, terror token. Now terror token means you can, as long you can follow the value, it can be any color die. So I need a 3, so I guess I'm gonna take 1. Let me check. Should be orange or purple that I can recall, and I have a 3 of a purple, so we're gonna use that here. Bam. Now the dice is still exhausted, but I put them usually close to the test, so I know which test I done with the die. And these are resolved immediately. So this one is just auto fail. I'm just gonna remove, so E cannot be done. But this D, I'm gonna do it now, and I'm gonna get 2 clues. 1, 2. These clues are shared by all investigators. You have a little supply and you use them as you want, basically. What they can do, I already told you in the previous, but I'm just gonna go through the list again. So with the 2 clues, I can recall 1 lost dice. So if I have any lost dice here, I can spend 2 clues, bring it back. With 3 clues, I can skip 1 room test. So I don't do any test, and I don't suffer any negative effects. We just run through the room, basically. We skip it. We escape. With 2 clues, I can find a lost investigator, which will happen actually right now, as we will see. And with 1 clue, I can change 1 die value that is on the board to any value of my choice. So basically like not a reroll, just the ability to flip a die. So I done that. Now since I didn't do both tests, negative effect will apply. Also, when this negative effect applies, we also apply this effect here. So this happens during the same, let's say, phase of negative effects. So 1 investigator is going to become lost. You can do it in any order. So 1 investigator is going to be lost, and we know that I don't have a choice. It's going to be how it's called, Joe Barnes. So right from the start, Joe Barnes is going to be lost. But before that happens, let me see, can I do some stuff? Now this, you still have an opportunity to use your special ability before this happens. So basically during these tests and exhausting dice, before you get lost, you can still do the action, and then you're gonna just be gone or take sanity damage or whatever. So in this case, he cannot do nothing with the orange die. It doesn't really matter. So we're gonna but before he gets lost, Emilia can do something. She can recall this die. So I'm gonna put this, so she can recall 1 purple die. You take a die without changing its value, you just place it back on the board. That's it. So nothing lost except poor Joe Barnes. So I'm gonna remove this, and we're gonna flip him, and he's now lost. Also, 1 green die will have to go to be exhausted. I can choose which one, so I'm gonna take these 3. Now, since Joe Barnes got lost just by entering this room and he moved somewhere, I don't know where, this negative effect is now active. Items can't be gained or used. But next turn, I will be able... by the way, these clues must be used during the action phase of the investigator. Action phase now just finished. As long you, after you do test, you still can do the action, then go these negative effects, and that's it. So in this case, I cannot use my clues now, but in next room during the action phase, I will be able to at least bring Joe Barnes back. All right, and then we take these two, set them aside, place two new, modifier test, and we shuffle this back into the bag. And we pass this room, put it here in the previous room in a discard pile, which is visible and face up like this. You'll see why, because sometimes you can go through the same room again. All right, so we entered, we find some clues, but Joe Barnes just, he disappeared by looking at something, I don't know what. And we have one exhausted dice. Now this exhausted dice, after we finish with the room, will try to get back on the board. Simply you're gonna roll it, and if I get a 5, it goes back. If I get a 2, it goes to lost. If nothing, it stays exhausted, but gonna probably have a different value. So let's see what we have. And as always, my luck is like that. So this is a lost green die, sadly. All right. Too bad. We already lost one die in the first room and one investigator. Alright, so second room, we can see there are lots of orange, but I don't have a guy that can deal with orange. So I think I'm gonna go with the girl that has the most sanity, and I might also take Pete Lucky with me. Although I'm not so sure. Should we send Lee Min alone? Now this means she will only be able to use one, well, it's basically one action, one special ability. No, let's send Lee Min as a lead investigator, and let's send Pete Lucky with her. So they too is gonna enter this room. Okay, let's see what we have here. Bam! Okay, so this is some kind of a room with something standing there. So there is a enter effect that happens immediately. Reroll all purple dice. So we're gonna take them and we're gonna reroll them. Now, last time I do this improperly, you actually just reroll them. They are not exhausted, okay? They are just rerolled, but every time you reroll, oh, actually I did that. Yeah, every time you reroll, you just check the curse die. So one will be lost, but all these others should be returned to the board. They shouldn't all be exhausted or anything like that, like I did previously. Alright, so I have one lost die. Okay, so that's the effect when you're re-rolling purple dice. You just check, will you against the cursed die? If it's equal, it's lost, everything else go back. So that effect can cost you some dice. Alright, and then we have two tests. One can gain us items, but we can't do that. Well, we do have some clues, so we will find Joe Barnes right now. And on a D, we're gonna reroll a cursed die, which is not something we need to worry about. The only problem is if we don't do both tests, the bottom part will execute. So I'm gonna lose one clue, and you know that if you cannot pay with the clue, you actually lose sanity, and I will not be able to pay with the clue because I'm gonna use it to get Joe Barnes back. Alright, so first thing what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna spend these two clues because it's my action time, so I can do that, and we're gonna get Joe Barnes back. We find him. Okay, he kind of strayed in one room, and just we find him in the another one. But still, we only have these two to do some stuff. So let's see. D is orange dice, and I need a 6. Well, I do have orange dice, so we're gonna do that, which will prevent the re-rolling of a cursed die. Also, I want to get an item right now, so that's a B8, and B is basically any color, but it must be of the 8 of value. So let me see. Using a green and yellow would be something I want to do. So if I use this one and this one, that's an 8. Perfect. I got my item. So let's see what kind of item is going to be. I'm going to shuffle this again and then draw it. Now, when you take the item, you can give it to any investigator that was entering the room. So these two were inside. Oh, damn. No, actually, no. In this case, it's a lead investigator. So it's going to be Lean Min. She's going to find a pendant. But if you have multiple people, you can spread around. And since you cannot take more than one item, items are really powerful. You have to discard the previous one when taking one. So you have to take that into account. That's how it works for now. I might be changing that later. We'll see. Anyway, I got the pendant. And let me just say what does that do. So pendant is, recall all dice that are equal or lower than the blessed die. Oh, that's pretty powerful. And since my blessed die is now actually 5, could be able to recall all of these. All right. Anyway, these all, now I'm gonna put this aside. These all gonna go to the exhausted dice. And now I can do some stuff. So I can recall one lower yellow die. And yeah, I can recall this one because it is lower than a 6. As long as it is lower than the other die. So I can recall this by using Pete's power. Bam. And I can, this is only for duplication of a green die. Okay, I didn't use that power, I didn't need to do. Now, I can use my pendant immediately if I want to, which would bring these 2 dice back onto the board and I don't have to reroll them. Or I can hope that, or I can keep the pendant when I have more dice, more exhausted dice for later, and kind of risk rerolling them. They're going to auto-recall in the end when we pass the room, but if I roll any 2s, they're going to be lost. So here's a good question. And I think I'm going to use the pendant immediately. And these does not go back into the bag actually. You place them outside. You only put them back again if you don't have any items in the bag. So pendant is out. I'm going to recall this. Basically, recalling using items or your special abilities doesn't mean you have to reroll them. So they just go back with the values they were used by. So that's perfect. Now I did lose the really powerful item, but at least that's okay. Now we done both of these, so we're not going to lose any clue, but we will have one green die exhausted. So actually, let's do the 3. All right. So this happens after we finish our actions during the negative effect. So I couldn't get that die back because it's always going to be one exhausted with this effect just when you finish the action and you can get it back. But it might be returned automatically right now as long as I roll a 5 and not a 2. Oh, almost. So it's still going to be exhausted. Remember, when it's auto recalling back, you have to get the equal to the blessed die. At least I didn't lose it. So maybe next turn in the next room I will be able to recall it back. Alright, so let's see. I'm going to do one more room and then I'm going to stop the video because I don't want this video to be too long. So yellow there and green there, and we shuffle these back into the bag. Okay, so nice spread of colors right now. So the question is, who do I want to go next inside the next room? Well, it could be anyone, but I want to recall these greens, so it's going to be Lee Min. But this time I'm going to have a different lead investigator. Joe Barnes is going to be a lead investigator, so he's going to go in. We're also going to send the Lee Min, and we're going to send Emilia Carter. So I'm sending 3 investigators right now in the next room with the Joe Barnes as a lead. Alright, let's see what we have here. You enter a dark hallway. So 2 tests. One can reroll a curse die, which I don't care, but remember, if I don't do both of them, 1 sanity will be lost, and that's going to be affected on the Joe Barnes. Well, he has the 3 sanity still, so that's good. And I'm going to lose 1 orange die. I need to take that. Well, I have lots of them. Okay, so let's see. A C is basically as long as I can cover value with 1 die, I can. So it could be even 1 to 5 basically on a C. That's how these black test modifiers work. Must be the same color, but value, as long as you can cover it with any value that is in the span of 1 dice, it's fine. So right now I can get rid of this yellow one and just do this without any problems. The question is, yeah, Pete Lucky can recall 1 lower die, and it's a lower than 6, so yeah, I can get it back without any problems. So yeah, let's use a 1 for a C. So we're gonna deal with that, and then I can gain 1 clue. I just need 8 and orange 8. Okay, well, for that I would have to use a 6 and a 2. Yes, 6 and a 2. Okay, I'm gonna use a 6 and a 2 for F, and we're gonna gain a clue. Now these all dice go to the exhausted pile. Now let's see, can we do something to bring them back? Alright, so we have a Pete Lucky that can... yeah, but I didn't send him. Damn. Okay, so I can do nothing about the... Duplicate 1 green die. Do I want to do that? Not yet, so doesn't really matter about this power. Emilia Carter can recall 1 purple die. I don't have any purple dice. The only thing that can happen, Joe Barnes can recall 1 lower orange die. So he can get these 2 back. Okay, so we're gonna do that. His special ability. That's it. We don't lose any sanity, and then 1 orange die. We're gonna go back here. Well, let's put a 1. Alright, that's unfortunate. Alright. And we done this thing and this thing, and I need to remove this, and now let's hope this auto recall will not be too bad. Okay, they all stay exhausted. So you can see as the game progressed, more and more dice gonna be exhausted, and you're probably gonna lose some dice. Alright, at least no one is suffering from any sanity damage. Okay, so let's put this here. Oh, that's an autofill. And this here, and then shuffle these 2 back. Alright, so I'm gonna stop there. I have a 1 clue. With 1 clue, I can only spend it to change 1 die value into any value I want, but I'm gonna keep it if for some reason I lose some investigators. I'm not sure that using the pendant during that turn was wise. I should probably keep it and use it, like using it right now, I would be able to recall all these dice. But I kind of rushed a bit, but we'll see. The problem is I'm probably not gonna find a pendant again. There are 12 items, and usually you always get something different. Because they stay out of the bag as used. Unless you need to get another one, then you shuffle them all back into the bag. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the video here. I think that's enough so you can see how the game works, and then we're gonna continue the next playthrough video until we pass all other. We have 9 more rooms to go and lots of dice exhausted. But we'll see how it's gonna go. In any case, thanks for watching, and see you next time. And if you like my work, as always, just put a little like. It gives me ability to get more audience and more people, more eyes on my videos and my games. So see you next time, and goodbye.